They have the hard-hitting analysis.
I'm anti-injury, so maybe this won't work out.
Kyler's only playing one tight end this week, so that's probably going to help him out a lot.
They tell it like it is.
That's not what I needed, Grandma Nut.
All right, the hipster fantasy player.
I don't do anything.
Their listeners love them.
Found all your charts boring, to be frank. Caitlin was the star of the show.
They break down all the statistics.
20 points. That doesn't quite add up. Maybe he had 93.
This is the Snick Snack Sports Podcast.
Here we... All right, Snickers, help me out.
What's going on, all you fantasy football fans out there? Welcome to the championship week of our fantasy football season. How are you doing today, Nate?
Doing great, Snickers. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy belated Hanukkah and happy Kwanzaa, I believe.
Happy
For
belated
me, it was
Boxing
Merry
Day.
Kwanzaa, I'm not sure. But yeah, I hope everyone's enjoying their holiday season. And yeah, we have the championships this weekend's championship season as well. And we got a breakfast edition episode for you. So yeah, we got part of the championship matchup on the show today. And we'll break down last week's matchup, some big performances.
Oh yeah.
And let's actually take a look. We'll dig into them a little later, but looking at the playoffs so far, we know that in round one, you had a bye, Nick, and so did Kenny. And then Kyle beat Shane to make it on to round two, and Ducky beat Katie. We both called those matchups there. And then it looks like in round two, we had you unfortunately lost. Not a bad week yourself, but a really strong week from Ducky. We knew his super team was capable of this.
Yeah.
He's moving on. And then another one that wasn't so close. Kenny had a big week against Kyle.
This was looking close for a while, and Kenny definitely pulled away, yeah. But yeah, we got Kenny Ducky finals. This is the first time in a couple years that we've had two non-winners before. Neither of these guys ever won a championship. It's going to be a new winner this year. It's very exciting.
Indeed, yeah. And so we'll go break down on the show what happened in those two matchups. We also have our bet to deal with, and this is the standing so far. You can see for me, I've gotten 3 of the 4 points that I needed, but my winner, Kyle, is out. Meanwhile, you also have 3 or 4 points needed. Your winner, which is yourself, is out, meaning that neither one of us are eligible for any more points.
Oh no.
And
What
that
does that
means
mean, Nate?
that the final standing is that I have 14 points and you have 16 points. So you have finally beat me in the bet off.
In the bet off. Wow. 2 years ago, I was this close away from doing it and picked John for some dumb reason in the first round. If I didn't do that, I would have won. But yeah, this means a lot. To win the Chump League, to win the bet, to win everything except what actually matters. It's a great season.
That's right. Yeah, we can't forget that you were the Chump League champion. Kenny has the chance to be have the dual distinction of being both the real champion and the Chumper most
Chump
accurate.
Reaper.
Chunk Reaper. So indeed, yeah. So good season, good game, and let's hear about the news from around the NFL.
Yeah, man. Everyone was watching some Thursday Night Football on Christmas here, but a couple things happening, last week going into this week. We had Jordan Love not playing tonight with a concussion. There's playoff football tonight, Nate, as well. We got DK Metcalf. I don't know if you're watching that game last week, punching a fan, suspended 2 weeks, tried to appeal it, still suspended 2 weeks. He's on Kenny's team. Don't know what that means for team morale. We got Rashee Rice going to IR just because the Chiefs are, far out of the playoffs here. We got Josh Johnson started Christmas for in the 17th season, playing for his third time around with the Washington franchise. Josh Johnson's a great player in it, but Lamar Jackson's hurt, looking at tonight as well. But that's Not a lot of news this week. Only a couple teams left that matter. Only a couple team players left in our fantasy teams. But yeah, I'm excited for some football tonight and a lot of football tomorrow on Monday.
Yeah, we'll see if the Metcalf suspension is the difference between a championship and a could have been. So
Mm.
he's been good for Kenny of late. Yeah, but now let's welcome Ducky to the show to talk about this week's matchup. How's it going, Nick? Or should I say,
Not
known for Kyle?
not too bad. The Thursday night games are kind of a bust a little bit more than I was hoping for, but
Yeah, you
still good.
guys underscored a couple points. Kenny's guy underscored a couple points.
I
We
was kind of I have him in my other league, and it broke me, but at the same time, like he was about to have a monster game.
Yeah, Javante got a touchdown, one out. But no, that's super exciting. Are we heading towards like a 99-95 final here or
I it seems like if the trend continues, we're going to be fighting for the toilet, not the toilet, the chump spot.
hmm. That'd be hilarious if one of the loser of the finals got chumped.
Yeah, it was, and just from an NFL perspective, obviously the Commanders Cowboys game was good. The other two games were awful. I think they had like the 60-yard passer on both games.
I
Um,
in my family league, I'm also in the finals, and I cut the Vikings defense on Wednesday because I had
Hmm.
no intention of playing them, and that just looks really bad now.
Shout out Max Brosmer leading the team with 51 passing yards, a net
And he
of
had
three
what was it
passing
like
yards.
total of 3 positive yards after you take all the sacks out.
Yep.
so, yeah, pretty rough. Um, but here, let's take a look at last week's matchups. You and Kenny both had really big weeks. This is what you paid for when
Yeah,
you were selling all those picks this year. But we got yours here against Snickers actually. You won 162 to 124. It's not a bad week from Snickers, 124.
I was sweating
But
at like 2:30, and when I was texting Snickers a little bit, like, oh man, like this is the week that Herbert balls out. But
Yeah.
it just Gibbs. It was the one killer for your team, in my opinion. Gibbs and McBride, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Trey doing nothing was horrible. This is the worst week for him to do nothing. This week he has the Bengals, which is the historically best matchup of all time. If I got into the finals here, I know I'm not off to a great start in the third place game, but I'm looking for him to get at least 50 points this week. No lie. But no, it was a lot of fun. We were texting a lot. Starting off by me telling Ducky how dumb of a move Colby Parkinson was after JSN and Matt Stafford went to overtime and scored 50 points. But
Yeah, that was also a kind of a nervous game on Thursday. I think it was like going into halftime or something like that. The Rams are up like 20-3 or something like that. So, and they had been running the ball a ton, so I figured Stafford was done. I had a feeling that JSN would come back, but it was just like he's got me 12 points, and this is going to be the end of it. And they're going to eventually just shut down the team, shut down their starters. But
mm,
that was a fun game to watch. I don't know if you guys stayed up for that, but that was a great game.
no, I mean
I didn't catch that one, but obviously, yeah, 37 to 35, a bit of a comeback, I believe, on Seattle, like you
Yeah,
said. So,
they had a punt return, and then they had to score extra 2 point conversion. Then they drove down, scored a touchdown, had to get the 2 point conversion. Then they had to stop the Rams, and then the Rams scored in OT,
yeah,
and then they had to go down and get a third 2 point conversion. It was pretty wild.
that game going to overtime was the worst thing ever because I wasn't watching it, but I was tracking it on my phone. And I'm like, oh, Ducky's good. He's going to get 20 points between these two guys, and I can live with that.
Yeah,
And Matt Stafford throwing for 60 yards in overtime to Puka Jason getting like three more catches in overtime, man.
the
That was rough,
touchdown was
but
the
yeah.
big thing for JSN.
Yeah, man. Good game though.
Yeah,
You got some good players in your team.
yeah,
yeah, a
it
lot of
was
contributors. Surprisingly, Amon Ra was who has I think I've thought of as kind of your most reliable player since you got him. Has did not
him
do
and
this.
JSN are the kind of the two big guys that I need to produce. Bijan is an absolute. Flip a coin. I don't whatever I landed. I'm worried. I don't think Bijan's going to do have a good game this week.
Against the
Uh,
Rams.
yeah, but yeah, JSN and Amon Ra. I mean, Detroit's just been shell of themselves. I mean, I was watching the Detroit game last week. I didn't watch too closely this week, because we had some family over. But like, Jahmyr Gibbs was just not in the offensive scheme at all.
Yeah, a bit of an embarrassment for them to lose to the Vikings, who aren't good this year, and especially against Brosmer or whatever his name is. Um, so,
Yeah. Do you guys know after Thursday night, the Vikings have a better record than the Lions do? The Lions are in fourth place in the NFC North.
oh, I did not realize that.
Huh? Did the Vikings have the tiebreaker over them or something?
They have a better record. They're 9-8, and the Lions are
Oh,
eight
they're
and
not.
one.
Well, actually, I thought the Vikings were having a worse season than that. I guess I need to check the standings again.
They must have had a resurgence recently. That means it's a complete
Um,
inverted standings from last year because the Vikings are second place, right? And Detroit
Yeah.
was first, and then Green Bay, and then
And the Bears, and then the Bears have a
Bears.
chance to clinch the NFC North this
Yeah.
week on Sunday Night Football.
yeah, no, kind of excited for them. They haven't had a year this hopeful in a while. I don't know if they have any shot at the bye, but
I think they have the number one seed right now, don't they? Or are they in two now?
Well, the Seahawks have the number one, but
Oh,
yeah, Bears are probably not getting the bye, but
oh yeah.
let's see how it goes. But yeah, no, good game. Ducky having your guys blow up this week is was pretty great. Yeah, and let's look at the other matchup because Kenny had a couple guys go off as well, including that overtime Puka Nacua touchdown that I was talking about.
the Puka matchup was happening during the podcast last week, and I think when we left off, he had just gotten like 100 yards, so we already knew he was having a good week.
Hmm.
Kyle
But
was
he went off.
over watching that, and it was just watching the light drain from his eyes.
No, man. Like Kyle came back to fight. It was projected like 130, 130 going into I'm gonna say Sunday Night Football. At least the 4 o'clock games. It was pretty close.
Yeah. His killer was literally it was well, I guess his killer was the fact that he won against Puka, but also Josh Jacobs getting injured, and Brian Thomas Jr. just being terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised by the choice from to put in Brian Thomas Jr. I know Woody Marks was out. He probably would have played otherwise. Blake Corum obviously probably would not have made it in over him. But Zach Charbonnet, how has he been this season, actually? I guess he was projected at 8, which makes me
He's a
think not that
touchdown
good.
merchant.
Yeah.
He gets you like 30 yards
20.
and a touchdown.
Yeah, I guess in recent weeks he hasn't been doing anything too inspiring. So I understand why he put in Brian Thomas Jr. And he wouldn't have won if he'd put in Zach Charbonnet or anything. But yeah, Derrick Henry obviously had a great week for Kenny. George Kittle. Um, but it was all about that Puka game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we were, I think, talking about in the Discord, Puka is becoming a bona fide wide receiver one these days.
Wasn't he already a bona fide wide
Becoming
receiver
one. He's a
one?
first round pick
I
this
mean, not in
year.
terms of his on-field performance. I mean, in terms of his off-field.
Oh, okay.
That was pretty wild. Like if you had asked me 2 weeks ago who the most normal wide receiver one is, I would have picked Puka because it feels like he just kept to himself, and then he just is like, well, I'm going to speed run my way into like infamousy.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like there's just some kind of infection that goes around when you are officially like wide receiver one. Like it would now take him having a bad season or two to not be thought of as a wide receiver one anymore. And once that happens, that's when you know that the bug hits you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so this one ended up it could have been close throughout the week. Kenny kind of pulled away, made it not close in retrospect on Kyle. But if we're looking ahead to the current matchup, obviously this one is quite close at the moment, and unfortunately projections don't lie. It looks like you're going to lose, Nick.
And just I'm throwing in the towel. I've already shipped out the trophy to Kenny. It's over. No, I watched the end of the Detroit game, and Amon-Ra had like three straight passes hit his hands that he had like wide
Hmm.
open space, and it was like off for like a 30-yard reception, and he just dropped them. And he dropped a touchdown too. I'm pretty sure. Actually, now that I think about it, I think one hit his hand in the end zone. He just dropped it. That's when they had to settle for a field goal.
Yeah. I mean, after the Lions season, I'm surprised you're playing him at all. That You have so many good players in your bench that can go off whenever they want.
Yeah.
And obviously, haven't gone off at all yet this season. But how
It,
do you feel about your pulling an 8 here and having your bench score more than your starters right now?
I can't. Yeah, I was gonna say, can you scroll down? I I picked up. So I finally could bench Aaron Jones for Mike Evans last week because I felt like he was healthy, and Aaron Jones has like been fine. When Jordan Mason got ruled out, I'm like, is this the week that Aaron Jones kind of has a good game? And JCM, I picked him up because I'm thinking for keepers next year, he could have some keeper potential. Um, just because he's finally starting to string together something. Um, I didn't expect him to drop 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Did you draft him
Yeah,
and then drop him and then pick him up?
I have. He's probably been on my team 3 times and on waivers 4 times.
How much have you paid for him so far this year, besides the seventh,
Um,
eighth round pick you
I don't
got?
think anything. I think he's been always like one of those guys where I had an open spot and I'm like, all right, Bill,
Yeah,
come back. The return of the king.
yeah,
How wild would it be though if I had benched like Bijan for JCM and pull off the
that would have been a very, very bold move.
W?
And it right now has the potential to have been the right move.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I see you've also put Darren Waller on the bench. You don't want that guy on your bench in the championship, in my opinion. Um,
I'm running with
but
my starters, Nate. I They got me here. I played with the Tyler Warren thing. It made me a little worried going into the Sunday games. I'm running with my starters here. He's had 3 weeks to figure out how much he has to undercut Philip Rivers' routes to make sure the noodle arm get to him. Um, so I'm living or dying with these guys.
yeah, I feel like this year, I don't think our scoring format changed too much. So, but there's just been some insane projections. I don't know if it's like the year of like superstar performances or something, but 24 points from Christian McCaffrey, 20 points from Bijan. I'm used to, I feel like the best running backs being projected to like 18, 17 points. But there's been a lot of really high projections this year. I feel like that means that it's also more likely that you're going to be disappointed by those guys. Or Genty apparently is projected at 19 points. I don't know if he's earned that projection.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
just the matchup, but and the fact that Vegas has literally no other player for offense anymore.
Yeah,
Because I'm pretty sure they shut down Bowers.
yep.
So I think that's just a matchup based thing, and I just think he's just going to get so much volume. But um, yeah, no, I kind of noticed that too. That some of the projections, like even before, like I had we had me and Kenny and had kind of built the and not John Shane had built the kind of the super teams. I still was projected like 21, 22 Snickers. You're routinely up in the 120s. Kenny was in the high teens, low 120s. Like I think I agree with you, Nate, that it just seems higher than in the past. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just there's much more of a divide now where the fantasy starters are so good or offense is swinging back around to being really good.
Hmm. There's definitely a lot of RB1s. A lot of the, wide receiver threes, wide receiver fours have been touchdown merchants in the past and kind of been falling off and not doing anything. So the one guys, and I'd say at least half the teams in the league are so much better than everyone else on their team. It's really hard to do. Um, but
I'm
yeah,
looking for a big game from Mike Evans because I was talking to Kenny. I didn't realize he was the one who cut Mike Evans.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that would be a brutal one. And obviously, yeah, having the veteran president on your team is always a good thing for morale.
Yeah.
Um, but the Broncos, I know weren't the right defense to pick this week apparently, but getting 7 points from your defense, that'll do.
It's fine. It was just one of those things like watching the game Saturday on Thursday. Just was like they had to. I think Kansas City like put like 8 guys on IR, most offensive players. So I was just like, this is a
Mhm.
gimme game. Like they're gonna sack them 40 times. They're gonna get a pick here or there. But they just. I don't even think they got any defensive sacks. I don't think they sacked them once.
Mm.
I think one of the more interesting start-sit decisions here is Kenny's QB. Currently, he's got Trevor Lawrence in. I imagine he's sticking with him after the conversation we had with Kenny last week. basically, he had just picked up Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence had come off of a big week. I think that Baker Mayfield is still the more consistent quarterback on the year. But so I told him I would put in Baker. He did put in Baker, and Trevor Lawrence had another awesome week. And now, yeah, I feel like just when you have two quarterbacks who are, in this case, Trevor Lawrence after last week, I think he's, yeah, now quarterback six, just because he's turned from a kind of just boring, do nothing quarterback into all of a sudden this like big upside guy.
Yeah, 46, 31, two best weeks in the last 2 weeks
And the
here.
31's against Denver too, which is saying a lot. Like the 46 against the Jets, the reason I didn't have any interest in even adding him as depth was I was like, I most quarterbacks are going to put up 46 if you give them the ability. But the 31 against Denver was pretty impressive.
And meanwhile, I think Baker's had a bit of a bad stretch here. He might even be ranked, yeah, behind Trevor Lawrence now, which is surprising to me. Because the beginning of his year, well, it was okay. I guess he had a couple good performances.
He was the guy of consistency in my opinion. He's not going to give you 45, 50 points, but he also at least until week 7 wasn't that guy that's going to drop like 10 or 8 or something like that. Because he even put up 19 against Houston, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, I mean, look at the touchdown regression there. 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, and then a bunch of ones after the bye here.
Yeah, he looking at these numbers, I can't blame Kenny for making the switch at starter. It really seems like he's on a pretty dry spell of late. Like one game you were happy you started him in the last 6. So I get it, but yeah, it's just tough when you have yeah, that kind of choice you have to make. I think Matt Stafford is obviously your best option, and actually your only option at the moment. But yeah, I think sometimes even just on a championship like this, dropping your backup quarterback, not that you did that, but I think that can gives you some peace of mind because you forget that you had him.
And that was
And
the
then
thing with all the roster change, putting Tyler Warren and it's just player starters, player best guys. Baker Mayfield hasn't been his best guy to be like Matt Stafford's one of the reasons I'm definitely here. He had some heroic games to bail me out. I don't feel like Kenny's gotten heroic games from his quarterbacks. I don't think they're the reason he's bailed them out. So it's a little more of a less loyalty to him, but you just got to run with the horses.
Yeah, man.
yeah, I feel like Matt Stafford is having a kind of a maybe not so low key, but like really exceptional season for him. I don't remember the last time he was at that 3 in the position.
Yeah, he's number 1 in MVP odds right now, Nate.
He's had under 50. I mean, even against Carolina, where he had like 3 turnovers, he still got 12 points. He's had one single digit outing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even looking at the second half of the season, kind of 2 bad games, and all the rest were definitively good games. But this isn't the Matt Stafford that we know.
This is the OG Matt Stafford back when he was slinging it to Calvin Johnson.
Mm.
And he almost retired like 3 years ago, right? Maybe it's 2
I think
years
he's
ago.
been questioning whether he's retired for he won the Super Bowl, and then there's always been that speculation. He ran it back, and then I think with Puka kind of coming out of the woodworks, they realized they still had an offense. Because I bet if Puka wasn't what he is, he'd probably just be like, screw this, I'm not going back out there for a rebuild. I didn't even think he was going to play this year with his back thing. I figured he was just going to do that. I figured it was like the same thing as CMC last year, where it's like, oh yeah, he's totally fine. He's totally fine. Oh, scratch, he's out for like 10 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one I think will be close all weekend. I I have a hard time seeing this turning into like a 80 to 85 kind of slogfest, but off to a slow start for both you guys. And it's definitely happened to you before.
Yeah. I want you to scroll down to the bottom because there's a really cool thing which it shows you that there's usually a bar that goes across it that shows the history of the season for the guys points wise. Maybe it's further up.
Might be in a different type of window. I can play around with that. But
But it's really cool to watch like my season. I'm just like I did it last week for you Snickers, and you're just like this flat bar.
Hmm.
You put up 150, 125 every week. Didn't matter who was playing, who was injured, who was out, whatever. You drop that number, and I'm just like dropping all over the place.
Wow, I've never seen this bar before in my life.
I want to see if I can find
yeah,
it.
It
I'll,
sounds
I'll
pretty
find it
exciting.
online.
But yeah, I mean, looking at the teams, having the Rams play Monday night and you guys both being heavily invested in the Rams and Falcons here, it's gonna come down to Monday night. I don't think the winner's gonna be anywhere near decided on the end of Sunday here.
No, and I was in my family league. I had 5 guys go on Thursday, and it was basically over until there was the um Bo Nix, RJ Harvey touchdown. I was able to capitalize on the
Yeah.
doubles.
Yeah, man, but yeah, it's gonna be an exciting one. How are you gonna feel if you win or lose going into our New Year's party in a couple days?
It may or may not increase or decrease my drinking.
I
I
think
think it
they
should
both
increase
have
it
Actually,
the
it
either
would
way.
probably
potential
increase my
to.
drinking regardless. Now that I say that out loud,
Yeah,
I don't know
watch out,
where it
Nate.
is. I don't know if you found it, Nate, but I can't find it. There's like it's
No,
a bar that
I've been looking around for it. I don't see the. I've
I
seen the
randomly
graph you're
stumble
talking
across
about,
it
but
like last week, and I just don't know why I can't find it. But it basically
yeah,
just showed like it would put like 2 line graphs every week of each team, and they'd color coordinate it, and it would be kind of interesting to see like a historic trend. Like sometimes you'd show like it would a team come down and have like it would be like really hot and then just drop off, or you could see the consistency of like when I saw
Hmm.
Snickers consistency, like he's right in the middle of the pack. He had like 2 or 3 bad weeks, and his bad weeks were like 103, which aren't even that bad of weeks. And it shows you like my volatility. Yours, Nate, was even more of an absolute.
yeah,
What's that seismograph?
Yeah,
right. I can totally picture. I had like 6 weeks this year that were like 80 points or worse, and then I also had I think ended up having the 3 biggest performances of the year.
Did you get chumped last week?
I probably did. I actually didn't fully check, but I got 56 points, so that's pretty good odds that I was chumped
that's has to
after
be the
getting
biggest difference in
203 points the previous week, the highest score of all time.
our history. 203 to 56 points. I mean, not even just back-to-back weeks, but in the entire season, it has to be the biggest difference of any one outside of Shane and Katie's 0 point thing they were doing last year
And I
of
didn't
all
make a
time.
single roster move. It was the same lineup.
Yeah.
Um, what's that? So that's an average. That's 250. So that's an average of 125 over the 2 weeks. If it's any consolation, you'd still lose to me and Kenny last week and the week before with that average specifically.
Yeah, that's true. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think I had the epitome of the boom bust team this year. Which doesn't turns out boom bust puts you right on the borderline of making the playoffs, which I guess is exactly you'd expect.
Which is exactly what Ducky did. He was right on the other side of the playoff thing, succeed going into the finals here.
There's still a potential I drop a 60 pointer this week and just continue to prove that my team, for whatever reason, just doesn't perform every week. I'd rather be in your spot, Snickers, where it's just like the roster's set. It's just whether or not I get nuked on or not.
Mm.
But yeah, no, excited to see it all play out. And then I think we have one more podcast episode this year, the superlatives coming at you at our next episode. Any requests, Nick, on what your superlative is going to be? We haven't decided yet, so we might consider your opinion.
Let me think about it. I'll come up with something creative. What's the I'm sure you talked about it beforehand, but I'm just curious. How's the bracket for you guys going? Because I
Yeah,
think
I can
you're
pull
the
that
only
up
one
for
that
sure.
has a horse in the race, right,
It's
Nick?
very, very exciting.
Because
Yeah, the brackets.
you didn't have me
There we
winning,
are.
right, Nate?
No, I had we both got the opposite matchup right this week. So
Oh,
um I had you this is Snickers bracket here.
yep.
So he had you losing, I had you winning. but we both had a different winner than the person who made it on. So I think our scoring is done, and what we had realized is that officially Snickers has won already because neither one of us can get the bonus points this week for picking the champion.
1 and 3. Here we go.
Hey man, don't call it a comeback. You gotta
Yeah.
rebuild. You rebuild over the 2 years, and then now you're gonna be the dominant force of the podcast bets. Is that what's your term for that?
Yeah, I mean, just the bet is kind of what we've been going with, but
The bet.
the Trump League this year has been a lot of fun. I don't know if everyone wants to keep doing it next year, but that's what helped me out because I got pick the correct Trump the last 2 weeks and got the 3 points there, and that's really what put me apart from Nate going into the playoffs here. But yeah,
Yeah,
that
no,
was
it's
super
interesting to
exciting.
kind of keep track because, like, you with the new scoring format, everyone's keeping track of the top six, but to also have an eye on the bottom three,
Mhm.
especially in some of those weeks, there were races for. I remember I picked the 11 guy, I think 4 or 5 times, and I'm just sitting there, just like rooting, like, come on, fumble the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the format when paired with the new double win thing. It gave the everybody something to kind of pay attention to when watching the later games. So
Yeah, we gotta.
I
I
think
kind of want to take a poll from the league and see if they like the new scoring format or not. Obviously, remove some of the head-to-head aspect, but it also removed the luck aspect out of it as well. Hopefully, people felt like it was. I know I talked to John, and John was vehemently against it. Um,
he, he's the only one who I've talked to who had that opinion.
oh, okay.
I I I don't know if you guys have heard anybody else who was against it. I understand his perspective that the head to head should be the kind of the star of the show. And I guess maybe psychologically, I'm not experiencing a problem with that because in my mind, it actually has more weight than the league win. Like I definitely care more about the head to head match, even though I know technically they're weighted the same. And then it's kind of like at the end of the week, I start going, oh yeah, and I want to beat the league too, which works for
Well,
me.
I feel like the head to head is still weighted more than the scoring because the scoring is what the scoring is. Like it's the end of the week. There's nothing you can really. I'm not building a team to beat the average. I'm building the team to beat my opponent. And if that situation, like if I have like your team, Nate, the volatility of the team, and you're going against say me, and the projections currently have you losing by 15 or something like that, maybe I'm more inclined to play JMO over I don't know who you have on your bench, but like one of the bench guys, like Rico or Chuba or something like that, or if you're going against where you get the boom bust aspect of it, or if you're going against a team that's like riddled with injuries or just like disappointing, then maybe I'd be more inclined to put the safe factors on. Because again, like if at the end of the week 106 could be the league winner, I have no control over that.
And I think that one of John's arguments, which I also get, was that, well, it's all about smack talking with the guy you're against and all that. But I actually think that there was more room for the smack talk because I definitely found myself like I'd be on the cusp, but I would see the other person who's on the cusp, but I'd be texting them like, oh, all of a sudden, one of us needs to hop over that like 105 line,
Well,
and then ended up kind of just feeling.
that was week 14, Nate. We weren't even on the same team, or we weren't even playing each other. My week was over at that point because Kyle put up a nuke, and I was like just fighting from. I was basically playing against you at that point.
Right, so it became like a second head-to-head matchup for that other point.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, the schedule hadn't decided that matchup, but circumstance did, and I found that equally entertaining.
Oh yeah. I remember texting people after the matchup that if I came back super, late on, I remember doing it against Kenny and Kyle, and then the next day saying, I'm happy that you got the league against the win at least because you deserve to get the 2-0, but you're gonna get the 1-1."
Yeah. No, and
Oh,
it does make it so like in the week 14 when I was like it was like 4 o'clock games, Kyle was already over like 130 or 140. My team was like barely projected to break 100 at that point. It still keeps you engaged in it and still keeps the trash talking going or just like watching the games where I'm not just like, oh, the game's over. Like I watched the 8 o'clock game and Sunday to see if I could. There was a Houston Kansas City game because if you just didn't beat me, Nate, that was over. But then you beat me, then I had to watch the Monday night game because then I needed you not to win. It was some weird things, but like it kept me watching the games too.
Right. And around kind of the end of the season, it created a lot of chaos in terms of figuring out who's going to make the playoffs because there was a lot of like, I go into the podcast being like, oh, okay, so I think what needs to happen is that Katie needs to lose maybe just against the league. Meanwhile, Kyle has to go 0 and 2, and then Snickers would be like, well, did you think about the fact that if this person goes 2 and 0 and this person goes 0 and 2, you're going to be in trouble? And it just is hard to figure what's going on in a kind of a fun way. Lots to think about.
Yeah, yeah, and it just keeps things moving along. And trying to think of what I had an idea in my head and I just completely lost it right there. But like it keeps you engaged. It keeps the it's because this is what it was. It was because like there's 2 total wins on every week. So at the end of the season, when there's like one game between, I think there was between you and who was 3? Was Shane 3? You and Shane, there was like 2 games of a difference. Like, and then you had like a string, or maybe it was even one game. I can't remember if Shane had 16 or 17 wins, but like it was just you had all like this giant pack, and that last week, 2 wins could be the difference between me missing the playoffs. You could have potentially even been the 3 seed, Nate. I don't necessarily know how the seeding would have worked if you had pulled off the 2-0, or I had pulled off the 0-2, I think is what it was more accurately. You could have been the 3 seed.
Yeah, I mean, Shane dropping a couple seeds at the end, Kyle jumping up a couple seeds at the end was super exciting. I think the 2-0 is a great thing. We can talk about it in the off season, but we have just under a minute left to go here. Kenny's not on. He wanted to be on, but Ducky, do you have anything you want to say to your team to propel them to the championship here after going you're 0 and 2 in the finals in your career?
It's just, let's bring it home, boys. We fought hard all season. We've had our ups, we've had our downs, but we're in the final stretch here. Just leave it all out on the field right now. Week 18 doesn't matter. The playoffs don't matter. This is your championship.
No, that's a good one. Kenny, it's never won before either. We're gonna have a new champion. We already said that earlier, but it's very exciting going into the finals here. So let's have a good one, Nate.
Yeah, hold on to your butts. Am I right?
Here we go.
All right. We'll see you all next week.
They have the hard-hitting analysis.
Oh, shoot, did it again.
What's your batting percentage on that?
Here's the real outro.